بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله الحمد لله الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله. Dear brothers and sisters in Islam, by the grace of Allah Ta'ala, we have witnessed a miracle that cannot be in any way replicated anywhere except in our holy Masjid and in our faith, and that is the miracle of having our holy book recited from the beginning until the end, totally from human memory. And it's not the case that this is only happening here. This is happening in thousands of masajid up and down the UK and around the world as we speak. No other faith, no other religion, no other doctrine can claim to have such a text that is so large and yet so easily memorized by so many millions. Right now, the world population of Huffaz alone is somewhere in the region of 10 million people. And this is something that, it's hard to describe in words. In fact, every single year that by Allah's grace, any Hafiz is blessed to be able to recite the Qur'an in Taraweeh, every Hafiz will agree that they still don't understand how they are able to piece together every single verse in perfect order. Considering that the verses, many of them do sound the same, some of them have got the same rhythm, some verses, apart from 2 or 3 words or harakat, they're almost exactly the same as another verse somewhere else. But even then the Hafiz knows which verses to be recited in which way, whether there is a fatha, whether there is a kasra. There are so many variables. To get all of those thousands of variables correct and smooth is itself a miracle of Allah Ta'ala, that it is possible for so many people on such a large scale to get it right. And every single year I make my same point, and I will make it again and again if I have to until the day that I leave this world. And that is that logically it is not possible to memorize the Qur'an. Logically, according to the science of human memory, it is not possible to memorize the Qur'an. Because for the vast majority of Huffaz, the vast majority, not saying all of them, but a large majority of the Muslim world's Huffaz are not familiar with Arabic. You would say at least 2/3 or 3/4 of the world's population of Hafiz who are able to recite the whole Quran from beginning to end from memory, they are not Arabic speaking, they're not familiar with the Arabic language. Therefore, they don't understand many of the terms that are being used. And therefore, if they don't understand what the words mean, then how are they able to know which word to put together when, and which verse goes where? And in fact, those brothers and sisters who are familiar with Arabic, even they will say that even though they can understand Arabic, even they can understand the rhythm and pattern of the Qur'an's verses. There are shuyukh out there, imams of Islamic sciences, who have studied the Qur'an for years, and even they have agreed that the way in which the verses are connected, even they can't fully understand. So technically speaking, if it's not possible to link all the verses together, how is it that Huffaz around the world are able to know which verse goes where? How are they able to know that one nazi'ati gharqa is followed by one nashitati nashta? Why isn't it the case that they might end up going to another chapter which sounds similar and saying fal'asifati asfa, one nashirati nashra, which is a totally different chapter? How is it possible that they all know, even though without understanding the verses, which goes where? This is just one of the many reasons why we all believe with firm conviction that what we have witnessed now over the past several nights here and in masajid around Southampton, around the UK and around the world is a miracle. And it cannot be replicated anywhere else. And every time you try to explain to non-Muslims that this is possible, they stop in disbelief and they don't understand how it is possible we can do that. In fact, when children come to the mosque and they learn that we actually memorize the Quran, we jokingly say to them the only way to be able to know that we can memorize the whole Quran is to read it from that moment, and it'll take 24 hours to read the whole Quran. That's, technically speaking, the only way to prove to people. Alhamdulillah, we have witnessed that over the past several nights here, and Allah alone is to be thanked. All the Huffaz here and around the world would agree, only Allah Ta'ala made it possible for this to happen. Allah Ta'ala Himself is the ultimate Hafiz of the Quran. The true protector of the Quran is Allah. Allah states, Inna nahnu nazzalna dhikr, we have sent down the Quran, and we are the one who is going to preserve it and safeguard it. And that is why, mashallah, here and all of the masajid, if any Hafiz makes a mistake, there are other Huffaz who are able to correct them. And as a result of which, we make sure that the Quran is recited as close to perfection as is possible. And again, we are humans, may Allah forgive us for our weaknesses. But yet, subhanAllah, still, the miracle shines through. So, this is where we thank Allah and Allah alone for allowing us to witness this, and the barakah of reciting every single letter of the Qur'an and hearing every single letter. May Allah Ta'ala grant it to all the brothers and sisters here, and every single Khatum taking place around the world right now throughout Ramadan. May Allah bless all the brothers and sisters who have taken out their time to read Allah's holy book simply to please Allah Ta'ala. Allah will reward you greatly, Ameen. And therefore, I want to make a final point, and that is that mashallah, we've come this far. We've listened to the whole Qur'an in the month of Ramadan. Many brothers and sisters, either tonight or several nights before or several times over in Ramadan, mashallah, have completed their recitation of the Qur'an on their own personal basis. May Allah accept your Khatam and completion and bless you and your family as a result. Ameen. We've come this far that we've read the Qur'an so many times. How wonderful would it be to be able to understand what the Qur'an means? And that's why we, each and every one of us, we make our own resolution between ourselves and Allah that, oh Allah, I've been given the honor to be able to hear and recite your holy book. Oh Allah, allow me to find those avenues whereby I'm able to understand your holy book in the correct way and absorb extra goodness and barakah from the Qur'an's teachings. And indeed, those brothers and sisters who will be listening to the tafsir that Imam Uthman has been relaying and other shuyukh have been relaying throughout Ramadan and throughout the year, you will know yourself that there are teachings in the Qur'an that you will think to yourself, why are we not getting this? Why is it that these teachings are not being promoted widely? This is what the world needs right now. So, may Allah Ta'ala help us find that enthusiasm, that energy, and that drive within us to go out and find those avenues where we were able to recite the Qur'an correctly, learn its meaning, and then as a result, put that into practice in our life and make our lives full of so much more nur and barakah. Ameen. Before we continue, I'd like to also take this moment and opportunity on our own personal basis to thank, firstly, of course, first and foremost, as mentioned in the beginning, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. All praise is due to Allah Ta'ala who allowed this moment to take place. And may Allah Ta'ala bless especially the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and his dear companions who took great pains and suffering to preserve the Qur'an so that you and I can recite it in our time. We find it so much easier to gain access to the Qur'an because we have so many forms of knowledge nowadays that are easily accessible to us. Whereas in those times, they simply had the intervention of the human mind and memory that Allah had blessed them with, and they preserved it and they passed it over throughout the centuries. May Allah reward everybody who is complicit in the preservation of the Qur'an. And especially our dear shuyukh and those teachers of ours who have taught us the Qur'an. Any of our teachers have taught us even one verse of the Qur'an, may Allah bless them. Because Allah knows because of that one verse how much more blessing and goodness came into our lives. And let's not forget our dear mothers and fathers, our dear parents. Rabbi irhamhuma kama rabbayani saghira. May Allah have mercy on them just as they had mercy on us when we were younger. May Allah Ta'ala grant them Jannatul Firdaus. Ameen. I'd also like to pay tribute to our Masjid's dear founders and trustees, and may Allah Ta'ala bless them and also bless the dear parents, Haji Bashir, Ahmed and Haji Anisik and Ahmed rahimahullah. May Allah have mercy on them and mercy on all of our dear relatives, parents, grandparents who have left this world to Allah Ta'ala's mercy. I'd also like to thank our Imams, mashallah, Sheikh Qari Mansoor, and also Zakaria, mashallah. Sheikh Qari Mansoor, mashallah, he has a family and he, mashallah, is also a professor in cancer biology, mashallah. And mashallah, he has a busy schedule, back and forthing from here to central London to teach and in his profession. And mashallah, taken out a lot of his time to recite the Qur'an, not only in the Taraweeh prayers, but also in the Qiyam al-Layl early in the morning. May Allah reward him and bless him and his family. Likewise, our young protege, mashallah ta'ala, who is our, mashallah, Haji Naseem, our trustee's dear son. MashaAllah, he has joined us some few juz into the actual recitation of the Qur'an, as he is currently studying and taking out at least a year to specialize in the hifz of the Qur'an. He's taken out a year at least from his normal secular studies to focus fully on the memorization of the Qur'an. And mashallah, we've seen, mashallah, just how well he's been doing. May Allah Ta'ala bless him in his studies and make it so that we are able to get a lot more good out of him, inshallah, in future years to come. Ameen. Jazakumullahu khairah. I would now like to ask our dear Sheikh Qari Mansoor to come forward and recite the dua. And after the dua has concluded, please do not leave straight away. We've got a few more elements as well left before we conclude for the evening. So please do remain seated. Barakallahu fikum.